I still remember the moment my life shifted, like the ground quietly cracking under my feet before anyone else noticed. It started on a gray Tuesday morning, the kind that already feels heavy before the sun fully wakes up. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. My name is Mara Delaney, and for years I thought loyalty meant staying silent. Ha, sounds funny now, right? I used to laugh it off, telling myself everything was fine. But deep inside, something felt wrong. It sat in my chest like a cold stone, and each day it grew heavier. That morning, my phone buzzed with a calendar notification. Not just any notification, the kind that makes your heart suddenly beat louder in your ears. Career development conversation. Private meeting. Executive office. Only 3 names listed. Mine was one of them. I stared at it. My hands trembled, even though I tried to laugh it off. Oh, great, Mara, career development. Maybe they'll finally notice your hard work. Ah, who was I kidding? I'd seen this happen before. Same vague title. Same closed-door room. Same silence in the hallways. It felt like reading your own goodbye before anyone said it out loud. But I still got up. Still finished my reports. Still acted normal. That's what we do, right? We keep going, pretending nothing is wrong, even while our soul whispers, something is coming. Tell me, have you ever felt that strange feeling, like your life is about to change but nobody else can see it yet? By the afternoon, the office had grown quiet in a weird way. People smiled at me too politely. Someone avoided eye contact. My heart was tapping faster now, and I swallowed hard, almost laughing at myself again. Ha ha ha, relax, Mara. Maybe it's good news. But then something unexpected happened. Just as I stood up to walk toward that career development meeting, the front doors opened and 3 unfamiliar people walked in, serious faces, determined steps, voices low and firm. And suddenly, everything inside me froze. My throat tightened. I felt the burn of tears sting my eyes, but I held them back, weeping only on the inside. Because somehow I knew this wasn't about growth. This was about truth. And truth was finally walking through the door. And that was the moment I realized my story wasn't just about losing something. It was about finding my voice. What happened next changed everything, and it was only the beginning. Stay with me. Part 2 will shock you. The air in the lobby felt colder than the rest of the building, like the world had taken a sudden breath and was holding it. The woman in front, sharp eyes, steady voice, showed her badge to the receptionist. No smiles. No small talk. Her presence felt like thunder rolling in quietly before the storm breaks. And then she said my name. Mara Delaney. My heart jolted. For a second, I actually laughed under my breath, half disbelief, half fear. Ha ha ha, what? Why me? I walked forward, legs shaking, pretending I was calm while inside, everything felt like glass cracking. The woman looked straight at me. Not cruel, not kind, just intensely focused. We need your help, she said. And we need honesty. Those words hit something deep inside me. Ah, honesty. That thing I'd been begging the world for, whispering into pillows at night, wiping away quiet tears so nobody would see. They guided me to a small conference room. The walls felt too close. My hands shook.
My throat was dry.
I could almost feel my voice wanting to hide again. But something else inside whispered. Not this time. They placed papers in front of me. Reports. Forms. Signatures. My name printed at the bottom, like a ghost of who I used to be. Did you verify all of this before you signed? My chest tightened. I remembered the nights I stayed late. I remembered sending messages nobody answered. I remembered being told to just trust the process. And my eyes burned. No, I said quietly. My voice cracked, and heat flooded my face. I didn't verify all of it. I was told everything was already checked. I was told not to slow things down. For a moment, nobody spoke. And suddenly, all the laughing I used to do to hide the pain faded. I felt it rise from somewhere deep. The frustration, the confusion, the sadness. Almost weeping, but steady. I told them everything. The corners cut, the warnings ignored, the moments where I swallowed my voice because I was scared of losing everything. And as I spoke, I didn't feel weak. I felt lighter. Have you ever held something inside for so long that when you finally said it out loud, it felt like breathing again? They listened. They wrote. Their faces grew heavier. Then one of them leaned forward. Mara, you may have just saved a lot of people. Those words sunk into me like warmth in winter. For the first time in so long, my heart whispered, maybe I'm not the problem. But just when I thought things might calm down, the door opened, and my boss walked in, jaw clenched, eyes cold, a storm hiding behind a practiced smile. My stomach twisted. I knew whatever came next wasn't going to be simple, because that was the moment I realized telling the truth doesn't just reveal secrets, it exposes people. And some people don't like being exposed. Wait until you hear what happened next in part 3. When my boss stepped into the room, the air shifted. Not a word spoken yet, but the tension felt like it wrapped around my throat. Her name was Clarice Rowan. Perfect hair, perfect voice, perfect control. On the outside. Inside?
Oh,
I could almost hear the crackling of panic behind her smile. Mara, she said sweetly, like sugar coating poison. What's going on here? The lead investigator turned to her with calm authority. We're conducting a review of compliance records. We'll need privacy. Clarice tried to laugh, light and casual. Ha ha ha. Oh, some misunderstanding. Surely. But her laugh sounded fragile, like glass about to shatter. I'm the one who scheduled Mara's meeting today, she insisted. This is really inconvenient. I felt my stomach twist.
ah,
So there it was. That meeting. The one disguised as career development. That was going to be my quiet goodbye. I almost laughed, not out of humor, more from disbelief. After everything I gave this place, they were going to quietly push me out like I never existed. Something in my chest cracked, not weak, not broken, just awake. The investigator turned back to me. Please continue. And so I did. I spoke about the missing logs, the pressure to sign things quickly, the emails brushed aside, the sleepless nights, the quiet tears nobody saw, the ones I wiped away whispering to myself, stay strong, please stay strong. Clarice's smile faded inch by inch. Her cheeks flushed. Her voice hardened. Mara, you're exaggerating. These things happen. We trust our systems. I looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I didn't shrink. No, I said gently. These things don't just happen. They were ignored. The room fell silent. I felt my hands tremble, my heart racing, my throat tightening, but there was a strange warmth in it too, like courage was finally standing beside me saying,
yes, say it.
have you ever had that one moment where you finally said what you've been holding back for years, and it terrified you, but also felt unbelievably freeing? Clarice tried again, voice shaking now. We've always trusted Mara. She's been loyal. Loyal. The word stung. Loyal meant silent. Loyal meant compliant. Loyal meant losing myself piece by piece until nothing was left. The investigator leaned back. We'll be reviewing all documentation personally. Any interference with this process will be taken seriously. Clarice swallowed. And in that instant she realized. Her control was gone. I watched her leave the room, heels clicking angrily across the floor, and something inside me whispered, this isn't just about paperwork. This is about power. And I wasn't powerless anymore. But I had no idea that speaking up would set off a chain reaction, one that would turn the entire company upside down and put me right in the middle of a storm I never expected. Wait for part 4, it gets even heavier. The rest of that day felt unreal, like I was walking through someone else's life. People whispered when I passed. Heads turned. Screens minimized suddenly. I tried to steady my breathing, but my heart kept racing, like it knew something huge was happening beneath the surface. Later that afternoon, the investigators called me back. Stacks of papers sat on the table now. Laptops open. Notes everywhere. The room hummed with quiet intensity. Mara, The lead investigator said softly. We've reviewed your records. What you documented matters more than you realize. My throat tightened. For months, I thought I was just being dramatic. Overthinking. Too sensitive. Ha ha ha, sensitive. That word had been thrown at me like an insult so many times. And now here they were, saying, you were right. They asked more questions.
Dates.
Conversations. Details. Every time I answered, I could feel the truth spilling out. Raw. Painful, like opening an old wound that finally needed air. At one point, I nearly broke down, weeping quietly as I spoke about the night I almost quit. The night I sat on my kitchen floor holding my resignation letter, whispering through tears, I can't do this anymore. But I didn't quit. And now I finally understood why. Tell me something honestly. Have you ever stayed somewhere even when it hurt because deep down you felt you were meant to protect something important?
The door opened again.
And this time it wasn't my boss. It was someone higher. The regional director. Polished suit. Tight smile. The kind of man who talks like every problem is just a slight inconvenience. He looked at me first. Mara, he said calmly, as if nothing unusual was happening. You're needed at your desk. We'll handle things from here. For a split second, I almost stood. Old habits. Obey. Stay quiet. Disappear. But the investigator's voice cut through. She stays. She's part of this conversation. The director's eyes hardened. Just for a second. Then the politeness snapped back into place. He tried persuasion. He tried charm. He tried subtle pressure. He even tried to laugh it off. Ha ha ha, paperwork confusion, simple misunderstandings, but every joke fell flat. The truth was bigger than him now. And he knew it. Finally, the investigator leaned forward and spoke in a tone that made chills race down my spine. We have reason to believe records were altered. Attempts to remove Mara from the company after she raised concerns could be considered retaliation. That is serious. Silence. The director swallowed. I watched fear flicker across his face, tiny but real. And it hit me like a wave. For so long, I thought I was the fragile one. I thought I was the one breaking. But the truth? They were terrified of transparency. I wasn't the problem. I was the light in a room they wanted kept dark. Ah, the relief that washed over me almost made me cry again. But this wasn't over. This wasn't even close. Because what came next wasn't just investigation, it was consequences. And soon, people who thought they were untouchable would find out the truth always shows up, whether they like it or not. Wait for part 5. Everything finally explodes. Days passed, then weeks, and the building felt different. Not louder. Not busier. Quieter. Like everyone could feel the truth settling in, heavy and undeniable. One morning, I walked in, and the air felt strange, charged. People stared again, not with pity this time, but with something softer. Respect. Maybe even gratitude. I sat at my desk, almost afraid to breathe. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Meeting notice. But this one wasn't private. Board conference room. Mandatory attendance. I laughed nervously under my breath. Haha. Of course. Another meeting. But when I walked inside, the energy hit me like a wave. The investigators sat along one side. Executives sat along another. And at the center of the table, empty chairs. Chairs meant for people who weren't coming back. The interim director began speaking. His voice steady, almost solemn. Policies were violated. Trust was broken. People were pressured. And one person refused to surrender her integrity. My heart pounded. He looked at me. Mara, your courage changed the course of this company. I felt the tears rise before I could stop them. My throat closed. I covered my mouth and almost laughed from shock, shaking, half weeping, half relieved.
Me?
The girl who almost quit. The girl who felt invisible. The girl who cried quietly in the kitchen at midnight. They announced terminations, investigations, restitutions, rebuilding. Not out of vengeance, out of accountability. And then something unexpected happened. They asked me to speak. My hands trembled. My voice wavered. But I stood. I told the room what fear feels like, how silence eats at your heart, how loyalty can break you when it's misused. And right there, right in the middle of everything, I turned to the people listening, my voice softer, warmer. Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. For a second, nobody moved. Then someone nodded. Then another. Then the applause began, quiet at first, then stronger, growing, echoing.
Ah.
I almost sobbed right there. But this story isn't about victory parades. It's about the quiet moments after. Later, alone at my desk, I stared at my reflection in the dark computer screen. Same eyes, same face, but not the same person. I wasn't the girl who obeyed out of fear anymore. I was the woman who spoke, even when her voice shook. If you were in my place, honestly, would you have spoken up, or would you have walked away to protect yourself? Outside the window, the sky slowly shifted from gray to evening gold. I breathed out, long, shaky, and finally felt peace settle inside me. No fireworks, no dramatic music, just peace. And maybe that's the real victory. Because stories like this don't end when the truth finally comes out. They begin again every time someone else finds the courage to say, enough. If you want the next story, I'm ready to tell it.